You're going to submit a PDF of your Mathcad worksheet plus your Mathcad file. Okay. Handout-wise, in terms of the lecture material, this is where you can find it. Mathcad Lecture 1 handout. So all the written descriptions of what I'm describing today in terms of the features in Mathcad, they're in this handout. Okay, good, Hernan. And some of the examples I'll be working through to demonstrate Mathcad and its workings, that's it right there. Questions? Hopefully not. So, setup. We're going to need to install this program on our computers. The way you do that, you need to be able to access through to Apps Anywhere. Okay, so log into Apps Anywhere. And I know you guys should be able to do this because we've done this before using Adobe Acrobat 20. Okay, most of you guys should be able to do this. Apps Anywhere. On the Apps Anywhere page, scroll down to M as in Mary, and the program which we're installing, not Prime 4, but Prime 7. There's a little bit of difference between Prime 4 and 7. We're going to use the newer version. Okay, I have licenses for everybody for Prime 7. We're going to transition over in terms of the civil program and construction program this year to Prime 7. So Prime 7, Mathcad Prime 7, press launch. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to have you guys do it. You should see Prime 7. There should be a pop-up window which appears. It's going to flash for maybe 10 seconds. Then you're going to see this licensing wizard for Mathcad Prime 7. Pause for 1 sec. See if anybody's going to wait for you guys step per step. So Apps Anywhere, look for Mathcad Prime 7, press launch. There's going to be a green pop-up window which appears for maybe 5-10 seconds. Then you're going to see this licensing wizard for Mathcad Prime 7. Anybody not see that? Are you guys at this point? Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Okay. Okay, keep on going. So now you're going to select this option. Activate purchase license. That code for Mathcad Prime 7, which I emailed you, that is your product code. That is your license code. Unlike my lab IT, everybody's code is different. All right, so don't share it in chat because it's not going to work. Everybody has a different code. So you need to open up your NC student email, okay, to get to that code. Next step, after you select this, you're going to press next. If you do not have your NC email with your license code, which I email you, select this 30-day option for now. Either I can look up your code at the end of class, or I can email it to you after class. Okay, if that is the case and you cannot access your student email right now, just choose this option. I wanted to try the full PTC Mathcad functionality for 30 days. So select purchase license next. Next screen, which you have, is this one here. You need to log into a PTC Mathcad account. I am assuming that most students here have not used Mathcad before. They don't have a PTC account. So we need to create a new one. So press or select this radio button on the bottom. Select this and next. What are you using for your email? I don't understand that. It shouldn't be. Okay. Dylan, Kyle, you're creating a new account. Yes. But you're creating a new account, right? You're not you don't have a PTC account yet. And you're creating yourself a new account. So you're creating yourself a new account and next. And it's still saying that that account already exists. So let me ask you to do this. So use a personal email. So instead of using your NC email, use your personal email. Okay. So next page is where you create your account. It should work using NC student email. I don't know why it doesn't. But if that's the case, it doesn't work. Use your personal email. Make sure though, on the next page that you select this option saying I am a student. Okay, so first name. It doesn't, Daniel is asking for address. Are we putting ours or the schools? I don't think it actually checks actually. So if you want to, you could use the schools or you could use your own. I don't think it actually checks. Okay, so first name, last name, email address, your password, password confirmation, title. I don't think it actually checks actually. So I just use college student or student, school, the actual address for Niagara College is actually 100 Niagara College Boulevard, Welland, Ontario. And this is actually the postal code at the Welland campus. And again, I don't think it actually checks. So you could pretty much enter anything you want actually, and it'll be okay. It should be. But make sure you use a valid email. That's important. Ah, are you actually in the States, Chase? You can enter in that. So in terms of country, you would select US. Everybody else would be Canada. Okay. I understand what you're saying. So what you need to do, change this over. So change the country first. Then this location here will change the province appropriately. Yeah. So change the country. Then all the options available, which this one here will change the province. And I think then all the Canadian provinces will be available to you. Otherwise, you leave this in US. This will just be the other states in the US, in USA. Yep, I'll put it in the chat. 100 Niagara College Boulevard and Welland, Ontario. One sec. L3C 7L3. Try to use a personal email. Chase, use a personal email. Don't know why it says it already exists. No, I don't think you do. I'll type in the phone. This is the college phone number. 2211. Oh. Are you seeing the full version? Just wait, Jordan. I'll help you out after class right now. If it's opening, it's probably fine for now. Probably you just haven't entered in. You're probably using the temporary 30-day access feature. Okay. I don't think it's a big deal for now. Akram, if you go forward then back, it says it exists. So you have to go back to the login page and log in with the account you created. Okay. Yeah. There you go. You went forward and back. That's what Akram is saying. If you go forward and back, it says you already created it. Okay. That's why it's there. I didn't think you guys were going to do that. Lesson learned. Yeah. You're just at the main program. Paul, could you see if it's opening up in another window somewhere? Yeah, I understand that, Akram. I understand that. I put in my phone number and already created my account before changing it. It is fine. That is okay, Nathan. Okay. It's so hard trying to guide you through. There's about 59 of you guys. I don't see your screens. All I have is your chat. Mohammed, I sent it to you by email. NC student email on Friday. Okay. How's everybody doing? Can I go forward? Yes. Yes, please. I am a student. It's under where you create your account. It's right here. Right here with this checkbox. Where you create your account, this check mark indicates that you're a student. It changes this creation screen a little bit. Next page, hopefully. This is where you enter in your product code. That is the code, and it's different for everyone. It's the code which I emailed you Friday afternoon. Enter in your code. If you have your email open, you can basically copy from the email, put it into this first box, and do a Control V or a paste. Copy and paste. You can do that. The host, you don't change it. Don't change the host. Leave the host as it is. So that's why I'm saying leaving the host ID unchanged. Chase, I'm trying to understand your question. Is it the same with my personal email and I went back to login? I'm trying to understand your question now. I think one of the comments from Akram is that if you go forward and back through these screens and you already created this once, it will tell you that you already created your account. If that's the case, then you select, I have an account already. So I didn't imagine you guys were going to be going forward and back during this session. So this is all going forward, right? So you don't have an account just yet. You create it, but if you created it and go back to this one page, then that account is already there. So then you have to choose, I have this account, then next. Good to know, Haseen, and to try to figure out the rest of these people. Chase, and then quit the program, went back in. Host ID, you leave as is. You don't change. Mohammed. Host ID does not change. Very tough trying to do this online. Get to know Colton. Okay. Hopefully we're okay. Product code. Enter. Next. It tells you, asks you what version you want to install. Mathcad Prime 7 should be one of the options. Select. Acquire license. Acquire license, and the next screen should tell you that you have obtained the license. I don't know if it says Mathcad 15, but definitely for Mathcad Prime 7. Griffin, it would have been sent to you by email. NC student email. I sent it to everyone on Friday. Okay. That's the way I distribute the product codes to everybody. Check your student email. It should be there. Everybody okay? How's everybody doing? I'm hoping that most of you guys are successful actually. So now if you go back to Apps Anywhere and launch Mathcad Prime 7, this is what you should see. Yeah. I just cut it off, but there is some graph paper here. So this is an actual worksheet, which I'm gonna be using in a minute. But this is what you should be seeing. I don't know why, Kyle. Word, you don't change the host ID. Leave the host ID as is. Chase gonna help you out afterwards. I need to see what you're doing. Yeah. If you're available, just stick around after class. I'll help you out. I need to see what you're doing. Perhaps have you share your screen with me or take a video. Yeah. It sounds like he's tried a couple of emails. I don't know if he's created an account. Hopefully. Okay. Before we do anything, one more thing before I do my demo. Where's that page? There's a place where you can actually reset it, actually. Let me put it in chat. PTC account reset. Let me see. I'll put it in the chat. So this is the link whereby you've already created your PTC account. If your password you're entering incorrectly, you can actually type this in. Okay. I try one per email, and I even create an account. It says it already exists. Okay. Let me help you out afterwards. Okay. One more thing which we need to do. So in Mathcad, the reason why we're installing this license, Ricardo, Mathcad will be installed on my computer, or I need to enter apps anywhere every time I want to use it. Once you install it once, oh, it's actually not on my computer, but it's that crowd paging player. Once you install it once, if you go to cloud paging player, it's actually one of the applications installed in cloud paging player. So either you can go to apps anywhere, launch it. It would, I think it actually shows up in your taskbar. So if you go to your Windows icon, and I believe it's PTC Mathcad actually. So that's another way in which you can go and launch Mathcad, right? So you could do it directly on your computer, then your computer will access the cloud paging player. Okay? Various ways. There's more than one way to do anything. Okay, let's see if I can do. So installing the license, some of these features, and they would have been locked with a temporary trial version, unless you have that temporary trial version for 30 days going, it will be locked up. One thing which I want you guys to do. So right now, Mathcad is installed on your laptops through Apps Anywhere. If you need to have your computer hard drive replaced, or you need to get it reimaging, meaning that you're getting basically everything overwritten in terms of your laptop system, and you're starting with a fresh laptop. So basically, you're blowing away all your software, all your files on your hard drive, you're reinstalling the system, you would lose that Mathcad license. So if that was to happen, you need your product code, and also as well, you need your PTC account login information. So I want you guys to save that information, right? Last thing I want to do is every term, when you bring your computers in, every summer, when you bring your computers into the college, get updated, you're going to lose this Mathcad license. I do not want to email 70 students every September the product codes which I always gave them last fall. You should save this information, so if you need to retrieve it, this information is available. So there's a spot where we provide it to you on Blackboard where you can save this information. So let me exit. Okay, go to my Blackboard, and here are all your courses. This is my courses which I'm teaching. On the right-hand side, under my organizations, one of the links which you have is Construction Studies Homeroom. So click on this, Construction Studies Homeroom in Blackboard. I think the setup is the same. It may be a little bit different on the display, which you see. Let me see, student view. So here, so this is where you should see. I think this is where you see. Construction Studies Homeroom, go to Documents. Under Documents, there's some AutoCAD standards if you need to install those. second folder down, Mathcad license file. Click on that. Here's the instructions for reinstalling Mathcad if you need to. The instructions are the same as the ones which I just went through. Below that, it's a spot where you can save your product code. So click on this link, Mathcad product code submission. And I want you guys to use a text submission. So click on write submission beside text submission. Then you can enter in your product code, whatever that Mathcad code I gave to you. You can enter in your PTC account, email, what was the email which you use, password. I'll leave that as optional. Okay. So, I have access to that password. Maybe you don't want to share it. It's up to you. Maybe you're using your password between a number of different sites. So, you think I don't need to know it. Don't list it here, especially if that is the case. Right? So documents, Mathcad license file, Mathcad product code submission, write submission, type in your product code and your email, please. Password, up to you, is optional. Questions? Everybody okay? Yes, no, maybe? Dylan, the menu isn't showing up. No, it's not actually. This is not it's not in this room actually. So I'll restart. My Blackboard. Construction Studies Homeroom. So Blackboard, we're not using the course. We're not in the course itself because after this term, you lose access to this course. You're not going to have that information anymore. But this Construction Studies Homeroom, as long as you're in the civil program or construction program, you have access to this site, to this point, to this spot in Blackboard. Construction Studies Homeroom. Documents. Mathcad license file. Last option at the bottom, Mathcad product code submission. Then write submission. Dylan, you need to be in Construction Studies Homeroom, not in the Blackboard page for this course. There's a section called Construction Studies Homeroom. Everybody okay? Found a little arrow for the menu. Trying to figure out what that means, Dylan. I found a little arrow for the menu. So if that's the case, maybe you have to expand on it. I'm not sure if that's what you mean. But you have to be in Construction Studies Homeroom on the blue side. Yeah, so maybe expand on that. So maybe you have to press on this to expand. No, Ethan, You don't need the MyLab IT code in there as well, just for Mathcad. After this term, you're not going to use MyLab IT. So expand, documents, Mathcad license file, Mathcad product code submission. Yes. Hernan, to answer your question, after you enter this as the text, just press submit. Everybody okay? I think so. It's very hard being online in a course like this, especially I'm trying to guide you guys through, not seeing your screen. What we type in, Jordan, enter in that product code for Mathcad, which I emailed to you. Enter in as well. You probably won't be able to, because I think you're having a problem creating your account, but your account information. So right now, just enter in your product code. Mathcad product code. Okay, good to know. So then also as well, your email used to create that account. And the password is optional. You don't want to share it, don't share it. Okay, before you take a break, I'm going to take another 10 minutes of your time, 10 minutes, just to demonstrate the type of problems you can solve using Mathcad. I feel like a car salesperson and I'm trying to sell you this product, even though you already bought it. Yes, you submit it. So this is a file. This is a worksheet which I created in Mathcad. So right now, I'm actually in Mathcad Prime 7. And Mathcad is quite powerful. And you want to compare it to perhaps Excel. And I would think perhaps, I would say half the students in this class knows how to use Excel. You want to compare Mathcad to Excel. Excel, in terms of entries, everything is done through cells. And if you have a formula incorporated in Excel, you have to basically go into the cell to display that cell formula. For problem solving, to debug Excel, it's actually really hard to do. I find it's a pain in the butt. Because for me, I need to basically click on each cell formula to figure out what's been entered. So let's say I have a very simple calculation. That calculation is 1 plus 3. In Mathcad, what you see is what you get. So this is actually a Mathcad calculation. 1 plus 3 equals 4. If I want to change it to 1 plus 7, automatically that changes. I don't need to know special programming. All I need to know, perhaps a little bit of knowledge, how Mathcad works in basic math. Mathcad works using BEDMAS, right? So the orders of operations still applies. So brackets, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, followed by subtraction. Just as with regular math, those operations are performed from priority from high to low. Excel, your guess is as good as mine, what's going on in the cells, unless I click on that cell. So this is another example. 28 times 2 plus 2 is 58. You want to modify the formula, quite easy to do. Again, in Excel, I have to actually click into the cell to figure out what's going on. Maybe this is 28, this cell is 2, this cell 21. I need to click on this cell to figure out this formula. I can get complicated in terms of what I can do in Mathcad. So I would think everybody's seen a quadratic equation in high school. A quadratic equation is basically some coefficient times x squared, add b times x, add c, equal to 0. Quadratic equation is basically solving for the x value, which makes this equation equal to 0. There is a positive answer and a negative answer for the quadratic equation. So this is the general form. Quadratic equation, if this is plus, this is the positive root. If this is negative, this is a negative root. So in Mathcad, this is called user-defined function. So this is a formula which I'm creating in Mathcad. I'm going to be using this formula over and over again. So I don't have to define it. I just have to specify it once. In terms of this equation, I'm providing this equation 3 values. There's this value A, this value B, this value C. All I'm doing later on is calling up this function, supplying values for these, and Mathcad will plug everything into this formula to give me a result. Positive root, negative root. So for example, let's say we have this formula here. X squared plus 3x add 2. I'm trying to find the values for x, which would equate this whole formula equal to 0. Where this formula comes from is from this. X plus 1 all times x plus 2. If you expand on that, this is this. If you collect some terms, this is this. So the answer for this equation, looking at this, is actually -1 and -2. Those are the answers. Okay, so I'm plugging 1 into A, B is 3, 2 is C is 2, one answer for x for that quadratic equation, -1. Exactly what I have here. Another answer using this negative root equation, -2. Exactly what I have. To do this in Excel, I can do the same thing. I can have a cell for A, a cell for the B coefficient, a cell for the C coefficient. Then in terms of this formula, it's a nice mess. This is what it would be in Excel. Okay. It doesn't look very nice. Try to debug this. You'll probably have a little bit of a headache if you do this over and over again. So again, I've used these two functions once they're defined. So now I have this other quadratic equation whereby in terms of the equation itself, x squared minus 2, the x values, they should be, for solving this, should be 2 and -2. Because this equation comes from this. So in this case, A is 1, the B coefficient is 0, C coefficient -4. Plug these into my two expressions, two functions, one for the positive root, one for the negative root, 2, one answer, the other answer, -2. Exactly what I should have. Mathcad you can use with mixed units. So let's say you have a triangle. So maybe this is a question in your estimating. In estimating, Mr. Mortabito gave you a triangle, and these are the three sides. One side is 28 2,870 millimeters, 2,870 millimeters. Another side is 2.2 meters. The last side is 10 feet. You're trying to figure out the perimeter of this triangle. So we're just really just adding the three links together. You can use Mathcad even though the units are different, right? So some of the units, they're not consistent. This is in millimeters, this is in meters, this is in feet. So I'm just adding the numbers together. But now I'm incorporating the units in my calculation. 2,870 millimeters at 2.2 meters at 10 feet. The perimeter of this triangle, 8.118 meters. I can convert this to whatever unit of length I want. So you guys give me a unit. Instead of meters, tell me some unit of length to convert this to. Centimeter. So keep on going. So there's my answer in centimeter. 811.8. I did this within a second. Inches. Inches, 319.6. Yards. 8.878 yards. How about miles? Very small, because this is a very small triangle, but there it is in miles. What else? Feet. If you know what you're doing, you do a conversion, that's simple. Okay, so I need to know maybe the abbreviations for the unit. If I don't, I need to be able to find where these units are through the menus. I'll show you that. Not today, it will be next day. So let me ask you this question. How can I do this in Excel? I don't know how. How can you do this whereby you're adding these mixed units in Excel? You can't. Okay. So conversions done very simply in Mathcad, if you know what you're doing. So there's my answer. And I could change these to whatever units which I want. And I did it above. I was going to do it down below. Not a big deal. You could do this for area as well. So let's say you have this rectangle. One side, it's 100 feet. Other side is 20 feet. I can display this length side to whatever units I want, whether that's in meters, in yards, in inches, whatever you want. Same for this width side. You could display it to whatever you want. It could be meters, it could be in yards. If I want to calculate area, and I'm sure Mr. Mortabito's done this, you calculated areas of different shapes. One of them would have been a rectangle probably. So the area of a rectangle, length times width. So I'm just taking these two values, these two variables, multiplying these two together. So the area, 185.8 meters squared. And again, you could change these to whatever units you want. Feet squared. So I'm going to change that display to decimal. So that's in feet squared, yard squared, centimeter squared. I don't think you want to display in millimeters squared because that's really big in terms of numbers, but you can if you want to. Yes, I will. Not today, Daniel, but these are the features I'm going to be showing you. So let me look at the questions and just trying to get my head wrapped around. There's only one of me. There's nobody helping me out. So Daniel, are you going to be showing us how to do this later? Yes, I am. Anything I'm showing you today, I'm going to be demonstrating. And they'll probably be an assignment at some point. Chase is saying, Mr. Pack, I tried 5 different emails and I created a new email and I tried it and it said they all exist, but I can't stay after class because I have to go to the Welland campus before they close. We could do it another time, Chase. Okay? Not a big deal. Maybe on the Wednesday, if you want, or just email me a time to set up an appointment. Okay. Next, you can convert angles as well. So angles, possible measurements are definitely degrees. Same for you, Anton. So we could do it another time. So I don't want to, I'd rather solve your problems one-on-one. I can see what you're doing. Have you guys share your screen so I can help you in that sense. And I don't want to do it during class time because otherwise I have about 50 other students who are really just doing nothing while helping you. So I'd rather take that conversation offline. Okay, let's just do that. Volume, yeah, you can do anything, Alexandra. So let's say you have a height. Height, 1 meter. So this is if it was the area volume. So I'm just taking the length times the width times the height. By default, it's displaying in liters, which is the default unit for volume. Again, you just need to know what to do. So cubic meters. So cubic meters is meters raised to the power 3. Here it is. You know, this is a tool. I want to compare this to a nail gun. Either I can take a hammer and a bunch of nails and do it by hand. Or you can, another way, you could go online, try to find yourself an online converter, and there's tons of them on the internet, which you can use. You can buy the construction calculator. That's another option. Or you can use Mathcad. Okay. All right, okay. I'm showing you different ways. Okay, so angles, degrees. I can convert these to radians. So there's 2 pi radians in 360 degrees. I can convert this measurement to degrees to revolutions, right? So 360 degrees is 1 full revolution. Also as well, you can display it using degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay, so there's 60 minutes. It's just like time. There's 60 minutes in 1 degree, 60 seconds in 1 minute. I'll type it here. So basically, I do what I can. I'm not the best. The instructor's better than I am for sure. I'm just average. 60 minutes is 1 degree, and 60 seconds is 1 minute. Okay, things I can do. If I have an expression, I can expand it out. So either I can take a piece of paper and manually expand this through and collect my terms, or Mathcad to do the same. So I'm taking this expression, x plus 1 in brackets all times x plus 2. I can multiply through, collect my like terms. This is what you should get. I can take a bunch of mixed fractions, find a common denominator. So in this case, 1 over 3, 2 over 9, 1 over 2. Common denominator would be 18. And I can add everything up as a mixed fraction. If I was to punch this in a calculator, it'll give me a decimal form. Okay. You can do this and most likely, I'm sure your math teacher is asking you to do this, whereby you're adding up these mixed fractions, find yourself a common denominator, and adding these terms up in terms of a numerator. Again, it can get really complicated. Mathcad will basically multiply this through, collect your like terms. If I have a formula, I can basically solve for any of these, any term which I want. So let's say I want to isolate x on its own. If you do a sum of rearranging, this is what you get. If you move these two terms to the other side, both the b times y and the c becomes negative. Then to get the x by itself, you divide everything by a. I'm just showing you right now some of the features. I'm just doing a demonstration. I can't teach you everything in one day. I need to teach you the interface first. So before we can get to these types of problems, I need to just teach you how Mathcad is organized, where everything is. That will take me the remainder of this class. Okay, but this is it. This is the type of information which I'll be showing you during the next 2 weeks or so, next 2.5 weeks. Okay, and again, this is not in MyLab IT. I have to do this one-on-one using Blackboard Collaborate. Mathcad will solve two formulas for you. So let's say you were trying to find the x and the y, which was basically solve, which basically is, what's the term? What's the term? What's the math term for this? What's the term? The root? Yeah, these are basically formulas of two lines. The intersection of these two lines is the common x and y value, which satisfies both equations. Okay, so Mathcad does graphing as well. If you know what you're doing, this is an equation of a line. This is one line, and this has a positive slope. This other line has a negative slope. Mathcad will plot these for you. So this is what I'm doing. This is this first equation in red. This is the second equation in blue. The intersection of these two lines is the x and y, which satisfies both equations simultaneously. That's what it's called. Simultaneous equations. This term in your math course, your math teacher is going to be solving these equations using Cramer's rule. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to leave the math teachers to explain why Cramer's rule works and how it works. But basically, Cramer's rule is taking these equations, writing this in terms of a matrix, writing this as a matrix on its own, and performing a number of little steps in it. So Mathcad, if you know what you're doing, it will work with matrices as well. So Cramer's rule uses matrices. So this is what I'm doing. I'm basically using Cramer's rule. I'm putting these into matrix to solve the x and the y, which simultaneously satisfies both of these equations. So Mathcad, if you know what you're doing, you can use Mathcad to manipulate, to add, subtract, multiply matrices as well. Okay. Mathcad also as well, instead of using Cramer's rule, you can solve these formulas using what's called using a soft block, which is in my mind a little bit easier. So these are three equations. I'm trying to find the x, y, and z value, which will satisfy all three equations simultaneously. And these are the values. This is the same format using Cramer's rule. Mathcad will transpose, invert, do cross multiplication of a matrix. We won't get to it in this course. I don't think, definitely not in my courses. I'm not going to teach you guys this, but later on for the construction guys, you can have a course here in agriculture in calculus. Mathcad will do derivatives. It will do integrals. It will integrate over a range as well. That's it. Mathcad will pretty much do a lot of the problems which you're expected in terms of this program. And I think that's true whether it's in estimating, math, or some of my design courses later on. Okay. I think we need a break actually. I've been going on for a full hour and 10 minutes. I think we should take a break. Take a break. Repeat. And come back. Let's do that. So let's break until 2:50. So let's break it to 2:50. I know it's a little bit after, but let's just break for 10 minutes. And I'll come back in 10 minutes. Just getting coffee from my kitchen, actually. I don't think I'll deliver to you there, Jesse. Just getting set up again. We're going to restart in about a minute or so. Continue on for about half an hour or so until about 3:20, and that's when our class ends today. I will be recording the lecture after the break, plus the material in terms of this lecture is actually in a document text form if you look under Blackboard. And I'll restart soon, actually. Cancel. So again, if you're looking for this information, let me start recording actually. So I'll get restarted. In terms of information, again, this information in terms of lecture material is available on the course documents and week number 3. I probably won't get into the examples today in terms of the workings in Mathcad, but the Mathcad lecture 1 handout there is here. We're not going to finish everything today. Some of this information will be presented next Monday, actually. Okay. Mathcad. So this is what you see upon starting Mathcad from Apps Anywhere. In terms of layout, Mathcad is organized in tabs. So along the top, you see these individual tabs, and these are grouped actually to organize some of the common features in Mathcad. At the very top left, there's this little circle with this M inside in yellow. This I call the Mathcad prime button. So if you press on this little circle, some of these commands or features, such as opening a new file, creating a new file, opening an existing file, saving an existing file, save as, printing, closing your current file. Options I'm not going to talk about. About I'm not going to talk about too much. And exit. These actions are available using this Mathcad prime button. Along the very top, there is this what I call quick access toolbar. By default, everybody shuts up. So at the very top, there's this quick access toolbar. Some of these commands are automatically there by default. So for example, this new command. So if I want to create a new Mathcad sheet, instead of picking and pecking here and here, I just press this new icon at the top. So by default, new, open, save, undo. So I want to go back and undo a step. Or if I want to redo a step and redo my last action, these are here. By default, these are in this quick access toolbar. I can also as well add any of these icons, any of these commands to this quick access toolbar. So for example, I know I print a lot. I don't like going this icon, pressing this icon and picking and pecking at this. I'd rather have a nice quick way of doing this. So usually, personally, I install this print, add this print command, to this quick access toolbar. The way you do that, you right click on the command and you see right there, add to quick access toolbar. Okay, so I'm going to add this. So now this print option is here. So instead of going here and here, this is added for quick access. Okay, speed up some time a little bit more. Also, as well, in terms of recently used worksheets, these are displayed as well. So if you go to this Mathcad Prime button, these are about 2015 of the worksheets which I worked with in the last couple of days. Right, so this is like a history, you can say. Along the very top, there's this tab ribbon, and again, these commands are organized in these tabs. So to get to any of the commands, just reading the question, sir, can we use Control P? Yes, you can. That was one of the things I was going to mention. Not today, perhaps, but there is also keyboard shortcuts to all these commands. So any of the features, any of the commands, if you hover over top, this pop-up box appears. So below, you see a little rectangle. It says print. It says in brackets, Control plus P. So I can use my keyboard shortcut for print, which is Control plus the P button on my keyboard. So P is in Peter plus Control pressed at the same time will allow me to print. So let's do Control plus P. There's my print. I was going to show that later on. Yes, that's right. Okay. At the very top, there's this tab, and by pressing any of these tabs, a ribbon appears. Usually, I like to keep this maximized, so this ribbon does not disappear as I'm working in my workspace. If you don't like that, you can actually minimize this ribbon. The way you do that, you right-click on one of these tabs. One of these options is minimize the ribbon. So if you do that, you physically have to press on this tab for these commands to appear. I find that personally, that's a waste of time. Personally, I like to have these displayed all the time, 24/7, when I'm working in Mathcad. So personally, I like to keep this maximize ribbon option open. Okay, so when I'm pressing in the workspace, working in my workspace, this does not disappear on me. Inside, below the ribbon, you see tabs as well. So for every open worksheet in Mathcad, there will be a separate tab which will be available. So this is my new worksheet, which I created when I enter into Mathcad. Let's say I was open one of the files which I had before. So this is the example file, which I was going through before the break. So to switch from one Mathcad worksheet to the other, it's as simple as clicking on the respective tab. You can have as many of these open as you want. So for example, here's one of my examples from one of my classes. Oh, cannot be found. Let me see. I think I moved it, actually. Let me see. I moved all these. Okay, but you get the idea. There's a tab for each open spreadsheet which you have, and you click on the respective one to switch or toggle between the two worksheets. There is a learning connector icon, this little university cap. If you want some resources regards to Mathcad, this is one spot for it. So you click on this, it goes into your browser. There's some tutorials, course material, knowledge base. Okay, just another resource, more information which you have available to you in terms of Mathcad. Also as well, there's this help icon right here. Okay, so this brings up a help menu. These are your various help topics for Mathcad Prime 7. What I find is helpful as well, if there is a command and you want help instructions for that command, all you need to do is basically hover over top of the command or icon and press F1. So for example, if I wanted some help instructions for printing, hover over top of this print icon and press F1 on your keyboard. So there we go. Tells you how to print the worksheet. So this is content specific, and the content which is displaying is what you're hovering on. Okay, very useful in terms of Mathcad. At the bottom of your Mathcad window is your status bar. So first piece of information right here is the current page you're on and the total number of pages in this Mathcad document. This second icon tells you whether calculations are enabled. So for example, I'm going to type something into my Mathcad. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. That is a formula in Mathcad right now. I can disable calculations in Mathcad if I want to. So let's say you have a very large worksheet in Mathcad. Changing one formula is laggy because the worksheet is so big that it basically has to go through all the calculations first. You can disable the calculations in the worksheet, either globally throughout the worksheet or locally in that one spot. How you can do this: calculations. So go to calculation tab and stop all calculations. So right now, the Mathcad worksheet, all the calculations are automatic. I can, if I want to, pause all calculations if I want to. You do that by pressing stop all calculations. Notice that in terms of this icon, initially it was green, now it's gray. Basically, all calculations are paused in terms of that worksheet. And if you want to turn it back on again, I think you just have to press this again, auto calculate. This goes back on. I can also as well pause calculations in this one spot as well. So this is what's called a region. This is where the calculation is entered for this one particular formula. Deposit the calculation in this one spot, select it, and then disable. And you'll see that this is grayed out. Okay, so basically it's been paused. To reactivate it, just press disable region again to untoggle it, for a better word. There's a find and replace option at the very bottom as well. So you can find both words as well as numerical entries as well. Okay, so find and replace. There's a zoom feature on the very right, allows you to basically zoom out or zoom in with different magnification in your Mathcad worksheet. Not a big deal. Next two icons is a page view and a draft view. The difference between the two, page view is what you see in terms of your printout. So you see this grid, you see a margin on the left and right, there's a header along the top, along the bottom, there's a header as well. So what you're seeing in terms of a page view is what you're getting in terms of your printout. Next to that, it's called draft view. So in terms of a draft view, you see this dotted vertical line. That is the extent of your right page margin. Anything from this dotted line to the left over, this is what's going to be printed out. You don't see in the draft view headers, footers, or the margin. Okay, so this dotted line indicates the extent of what's being printed. Anything to the left is printed, anything to the right is not printed. If you wanted to, I'm not sure why, but if you wanted to, you can have calculations in Mathcad in this region as well. In terms of those calculations, they will actually be used in your Mathcad worksheet. Only difference is that when you go print them, they're not printed, they're not displayed, but they are used. So let's say I want to hide something in terms of my printout. I don't want the person who I'm submitting my worksheet to see these hidden calculations. I can put these hidden calculations in this to the right of this dotted line. Pause for 1 second. See how your brain's doing. Questions, comments? How's everybody doing? You guys are really quiet. Good so far. Ethan's good. Spencer's good. Nathan's good. Okay, keep on going. Hopefully. Yeah, give it your best shot. So going back to the page view, this is the header space. And then in terms of the footer, this is the footer space. So let's say in terms of the header space, I could put course information, I could put my name, I could put a whole bunch of information on here. So let's start populating some of this stuff, actually. Okay, let me just look at this. So there's two ways of getting to this header space. Either one, you can use your mouse and click, double click. I think it's double click actually. Double click into the space. So click 2 times quickly into the space. That's one way. The other way, you can go to documents, headers, and get into this spot here as well. So for me, let me just think. I'm going to put some information here. Okay. So in Mathcad, there's two types of entries which you can put. You can put text, which is basically some kind of description, or you could put a math region as well, which are basically calculations which are used in Mathcad. I'm going to put this as text. Some information in this header region as text. So click into the space, this header, to enter in a text. I'm going to choose math. I'm going to choose this text box command. So basically, insert a text region that has flexible width. This is something I use over and over again. So I'm going to create a shortcut in this quick access toolbar at the top for this text box. Okay, so now text box, what I'm going to put in here. So let's put the course name. Computer applications, and course number is 1432. In the middle, most likely I'm going to submit this, perhaps it's an assignment. And again, I'm going to create a text box. So math, text box. I'm going to put assignment number. So right now, I'm starting to create, if you want, a template, which I can use over and over again, instead of starting from scratch and having to do this over and over again. For each new document in Mathcad, I'm going to have this automatically created. So later on, I could just call this up. So assignment number, I don't know the number yet. So I'm just going to put question mark, question mark. Andy, two ways. Let me just save this so I don't lose it. 1432 template. Let me just save it for now. So either you can double click on this header space. So with your mouse, press click with your left mouse button quickly. The other way is using the menus. So document tab at the top, and headers. Okay, no problem. So that's what I'm going to do for the top. Also, at the bottom as well, you can enter in document information as well. This is your footer space. So in the footer, so what I did, Jordan, I inputted this as a text. So what you need to do, go to this Math tab, and I'm going to choose this text box. This allows you to type it in as a text. Otherwise, by default, as you're typing, Mathcad thinks it is a math entry. So you won't be able to put a space right here. Okay. At the bottom, I'm going to put some footer information. So these options are only available. So page numbering, save date, file location. In terms of automatic entries, I could get Mathcad to put the number of pages, the page number, the current page number, and the total number of pages in this document automatically. That's page numbers. And there's different formats. So maybe just the current page number starting with page, so on and so on. These options for page numbering, save date, and file, they're only available if you're working in the header or the footer space. So I'm going to enter in the footer the page numbering. And this is entered in automatically by Mathcad. So select page number, And the format I'm going to choose, and this is consistent with your first assignment. So some of the stuff we're doing now is the same thing which I'm asking for on your first assignment. I'm going to get Mathcad to enter in the current page number, followed by the total page number, but in this format, page such of total. Okay, so the first numbering is the current page, last number is the total number of pages. So make sure you're in the header or footer space. In this case, it's the footer space. Page numbering, page number of number. There we go. Right. So Mathcad page 1, and only will have one page in this total document. Also, as well, I'm going to put in the file location as well. Again, in the footer space for file, I'm going to put in file name, actually. So the file name. Okay. If you haven't saved it just yet, yours would be untitled, I think, MCDX. So in terms of the header and the footer areas, you can enter in text or math calculations in here. But in terms of math calculations are not enabled actually. You can put them in here. I can go 1 plus 2 in Mathcad, but it won't actually calculate this. Okay, so this is a text. This is actually a math calculation. And in terms of the header and footer, this is not calculated within the header and the footer space. Questions so far? Not too bad so far. Pretty easy stuff. So easy so far? Comments, questions? Yes. Okay. So in terms of your workspace, this is my workspace in Mathcad. I can display the grids. I can turn them off. I could change the spacing of the grids. I'll show you all this in a second. What's important to know in terms of math calculations, Mathcad does it in a certain way. So I'm just going to type this in actually. I'll erase it later on. Math calculations are performed. There's a certain order in which they're performed. How Mathcad reads your calculations is from left to right. Then in terms of a row, then top downwards. Okay, that's important. So calculations are basically performed or read basically across from left to right. Then after it finishes that row, it goes downwards from top down. So that's why it's important. If you have information which is hidden within this space, within this draft region, you need to keep that in mind because it's going to go through in terms of calculations from left to right. It's going to read this information, even though it's not printed on your printout, and it's actually going to perform those calculations. Okay, so Mathcad reads left to right, then top downwards. In terms of insertion point, there's a cursor. So this is my insertion point. This is my cursor. This indicates where new text or new calculations will be entered as I'm typing in. If you have your grids enabled on this worksheet, this will automatically snap to the closest grid intersection. Okay. Let me see. Got about a minute left. Daniel, sir, when I type on the grid and press space, it cancels it. It is because by default, as you're typing, let's say you start typing, it thinks it's actually a cancellation, actually. Okay? By default, it thinks it's a cancellation as you're typing. So if I'm trying to type in text, it doesn't allow me to put in a space. If you want to put in text, you have to enter this in. It's either a text block or text box. So you want to enter in, type in text, some kind of description, either use text block or text box. I was going to talk about that next day, but that is right. Okay, that's the reason why. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to stop at this point. I know we're starting really slow. I don't think there's a way around for me. So I need to go through all the interface first before showing you anything. Okay, so next week we'll continue on where we left off. Okay, so that's it for class for today. And I'll continue on next week and Monday in the 2 hours. So next week, so this Wednesday is a quiz. Next week on the Monday, Mathcad. And also on Wednesday next week, it'll be Mathcad. Waiting to get back online. For some reason, I lost my connection. So just repeating again, answering Hernan's question. So homework for this week, there is none. So you've already finished the Windows 10 and My Lab IT, you're done. This week on Wednesday, we'll have a quiz, and then we'll have more Mathcad instruction next Monday and Wednesday. Let me read Chase's question. So on Wednesday after class, can you help me with the Mathcad problem? Yes, I will try, Chase. So after the quiz, I can help you, or you can try to set up another time as well. Yeah, Anton, either we can try to solve it today, or if you have time today, I can stick around to try to help you. Okay, I'll see you Wednesday, Chase. So let me stop my recording. We're finished class for today. Have a good day. I'll see you guys on the Wednesday. Anton, do you have time? The thing is that you have to show me your screen to get an idea of what's going on. Are you using dual computers or just on your laptop? You can turn on your sound, just the laptop. I'm going to make you a presenter, and I'm going to ask you to share your screen. I want to see what you're doing, actually. So let me stop sharing. For some reason, I lost connection there, and don't know why. And I'm glad that was at the very end of the class. So let me see. Anton, I'm going to make you a presenter. And so you can now share. I wouldn't share screen. Oh boy, it's going to be fun. You may have to take a video and email to me to see what you're doing. The other way is you're going to have to share an application. You can try sharing application. Windows. Entire screen is not going to work. Tab is not going to work. Let me see if there's any other questions. I'm going to try to invite you on MS Teams. Maybe the functionality is a little bit different in MS Teams. Give me 1 second. Anybody else with questions? No. Jesse, Harjit, Arlie, Anran. Okay, I'm going to log off. Anton, I'm going to invite you to and then MS Team. Yes, I did record, Jesse. Yeah. I'll post those recordings later on tonight. Not a problem. See you later. So let me try to invite you to MS Teams. So I'm going to log off. Have a good day, everyone. And Anton, I'll see you in a minute.